What up, everybody? It's your boy, Daddy Noland. Yes, I did say Daddy Noland. I am now a daddy for y'all that don't know. My wife and I had our baby 3 weeks early. My wife is doing really good. Baby's doing really good, and I'm doing really good. So, life is good. Alright, so you'll have a test coming up. We're going to go ahead and do the review. I know on top it says pre-AP. Regulars, the first part of this review is the same as pre-APs, so make sure you follow along. Alright, number 1. When a rectangle is cut diagonally, two congruent right triangles are formed. Which expression shows how to use the area of the rectangle to find the area of one of the right triangles? So we're trying to find the area of a triangle. Well, guys, go to your star chart because you're going to need to use this for your test this time. Look under area, triangle. Your formula is the area is equal to 1/2 times the base times the height. So let's go and write down that formula. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Well, all we have to figure out here is the base and the height. Well, here's your base right here at the bottom. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your base here is 6 units. Your height is 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units. There you go. You just now made an expression. This looks like answer choice B. Now, I cannot emphasize enough, guys, use your formula chart. You will have to use it for this test. All right, number 2. By copying and rotating the right triangle shown, a parallelogram results. So here's my triangle. Here's my parallelogram. Using what you know about the area of a parallelogram, what is the original area of, what is the area of the original triangle? Well, I'm going to write down 2 different formulas. First of all, the area of a parallelogram. Area is equal to base times height. And now the area of a triangle, again, is 1/2 base times height, or the area equals base times height divided by 2. Oh, well, would you look at this formula for the triangle and this formula for the parallelogram? The formulas are exactly the same. The only difference is for the triangle, you have to divide it by 2. That's it. It's the only difference. Okay. Well, it's asking for the original area of the triangle. Well, we're going to take our parallelogram. Remember, base times height, because they have those 2 things in common. So we have 5 times 6 and 1/4. Well, 6 and 1/4 as a decimal is just 6.25. So let's take 5 and multiply it by 6.25, and then we will divide that by 2. So here we go, 6.25 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 31. Move my decimal back 2 places. So 31.25. But remember, I now have to divide that by 2. So divide it by 2. Well, 2 can go into 31 15 times. 15 can go into 12 6 times. 2 can go into 5 2 times, and 2 can go into 10 5 times. So the original area of the triangle is right here, 15.625. And now, since we are talking about area, my units, looks like they're using inches. And since we're dealing with area, my units are always squared. So that little 2 goes on top here. It seemed like a lot of work, but it really wasn't. All you did was multiply 2 numbers and then divide it by 2. It really wasn't that hard. I just went step by step with y'all there. Alright, what is the area of a triangle formed by cutting a 5 meter by 12 meter rectangle diagonally? So I'm going to draw my rectangle. And it's 5 by 12. And that is meters. We're using meters. And it says now cut it diagonally. Well, would you look at that? My units never changed. My numbers, my height, and my base never changed. The formula for a triangle, again, is 1/2 times base times height, or the area is equal to the base times height divided by 2. It's the same thing. Well, I'm going to use this one. So what is 1/2 times 5 times 12? Well, guys, 12 times 5 is 60. And now what is half of 60? Well, that would be 30. And my units are meters. Since we're solving for area, it is squared. Done. Nice and easy. All right, number 4. Which represents pairs of possible dimensions for a rectangle with an area of 18 square feet? So my rectangle, the formula for area of a rectangle, let's see. Oh, base times height, or you can say length times width. It's the same thing. So in reality, all you're doing here is you're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to give you 18. Well, 3 times 4 is 12. I'm looking for it to be 18. That's out. 8 times 3 is 24. Again, I'm looking for it to be 18. It's out. 2 times 12 is 24. Again, need it to be 18. Well, 18 times 1 is 18. That works. 9 times 2 is 18. That works. 6 times 3, that's 18. That works. There's your answer. Nice and easy. Okay, so the dimensions of the jib sail, so right here, this jib sail, are shown. Which equation can be used to find the area of the boat's mainsail? So we're trying to find the area of this one. If it has an area of 3 3/4 times the area of the jib sail. Well, guys, if you notice my 2 shapes, they are both triangles. Once again, formula for a triangle. 1/2 times base times height. And this is the jib sail, right? I still need to find the area of the mainsail. So once I find this area of the jib sail, the smaller triangle, I have to multiply it by 3 3/4. So what is 3 3/4 as a decimal? Well, you have a whole number 3. 3/4 as a decimal is 0.75. All right. So we have it all set up. Now we just have to figure out my base and my height. So let's see here. 1/2. What's my base? My base is right here. It is 1. Times what's your height? Your height is right here. It is 4. And then I'm going to have to multiply that by 3.75. Well, let's do some easy math. What's 4 times 1? Well, that's 4. Okay. Well, now what is half of 4? Well, half of 4 is 2. Well, now all I have to do is take my 2, the area of the small triangle, and multiply it by 3.75. Oh, well, there you go. The area is equal to 7.5, and then my units are meters squared since we're dealing with area. There you go. All right, look at that. Nice and easy. Moving along. Now, 6 says, which equation can be used to find the area of the parallelogram? Well, once again, go to your star chart. Formula for area of a parallelogram. Area, parallelogram. Area is equal to the base times the height. Okay. Well, does it give you the base? Well, yes, here's your base right here. What is your base? It is 5x. And I'm going to have to multiply that by my height, which is right here. Oh, it gives me the height. Now notice how it says to write an equation. It doesn't say to solve it. Well, guess what, guys? You just wrote an equation. You're done. That's literally all you have to do. Write the equation. If you notice on every single problem that I've done here, I started by writing the formula straight from the formula chart. Wrote the formula and then I added or multiplied by the 3.75. Guys, use your star chart. It makes it so much easier. Organizes your material nicely. All right, let's flip to the back side. Okay, so here we go. I know it says 8, just the numbers are thrown off a little bit. The dimensions of a carnival dunking tank are shown. The tank was completely full after 4 hours. The tank was completely full. After 4 hours, the water level decreased by 6 inches. Which equation can be used to find the volume of the water tank after 4 hours? Now notice here we're trying to solve for volume. Well, volume, oh, here we go. V equals, so I'm going to say base times height. That is not base. That's a capital B, right? That stands for area of the base. There's another way of doing this easier. The volume is equal to the length times the width. Length times width gives you the big B. And then you multiply that by the height. So you're just multiplying by 3 numbers. So here we go. Volume is equal to length times width times height. Okay? So here is your length and your width. Right here, going up, is known as your height. This is all the water right here. All of this right here is your water. But it says it's decreasing by 6 inches. Well, notice my units here are feet. And then it says I have to go down by inches. Well, we're going to do a small little conversion here. We know there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So 6 inches is half a foot. So this water level that says 8 feet deep has to decrease by half a foot. So what is 8 feet minus half of a foot? Well, 8 minus a half, isn't that just 7.5. There's your new height after the decrease. After the decrease, it's now 7.5 feet. Now it says to write an equation. Well, your length is 14 times your width is 5 times your height, which is 7.5. Now, all it says is to write an equation. It does not say to solve it. So this could be your answer. My pre-AP students, you're going to have to do this on your test. It's going to make you actually solve it. So let's go ahead and solve it. 14 times 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. So you got 70, and you have to multiply that by 7.5. Move my decimal back one place. Oh, look at that. If you were to solve it, you would have 525 feet. And now, since we're dealing with volume, the units are always cubed. So if it asks you to solve it pre-AP, hint, hint, that's how you would do it. You would just multiply those three numbers, the length, the width, and the height. All right, getting closer. On a map, Fenton County is in the shape of a parallelogram with a base length of ½ an inch and a height of 1 inch. The scale on the map is ½ an inch is 50 miles. Write an equation to find the actual area. So we have a parallelogram. Back to my star chart. Area. Parallelogram is base times height. It also gives us a scale. ½ an inch is 50 miles. Well, if ½ an inch is 50 miles, doesn't that mean 1 inch is 100 miles? Well, there you go. Let's go and write an equation. It says the base length is ½ an inch, so that's 50 miles. And I'm going to have to multiply that by the height, which is 1 inch, which is equivalent to 100 miles. Well, notice how it says to write an equation. You just wrote an equation. On your test, it's going to say to solve it. Hint, hint, let's go solve it. Multiply 100 times 50. Oh, would you look at that? It would be 5,000 miles squared. Again, look how easy this is once you put down the formula from the formula chart. All you're really doing on this test is multiplying. That's the biggest thing you're doing on this test. Okay, Francis places a frame that is ½ an inch wide around the picture shown. What is the area of the picture with the frame? So you have to take your picture and you have to add the small piece of the frame in it. So if the picture here is 15 inches and you have to add another ½ inch for the frame, what is 15 inches plus a ½ an inch? Well, that is 15.5. As a decimal, that is 15.5. Same thing here. The picture frame, 15 inches, and you have to add the extra ½ inch for the frame, the shaded piece. So once again, 15 inches plus the other ½ inch for the frame is 15.5 inches. Now notice it's asking for the area. Well, this picture looks like a rectangle, but if you notice the sides here, they're the same, right? So it means it's actually a square. A square and a rectangle pretty much have the same formula. Length times width. So just multiply 15.5 times 15.5. So here we go. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Second row adds 0. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Third row now add 2 zeros. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Add straight down. Uh, 14, 15, I'm sorry, that's 20. 14. Now I have to move my decimal back 2 places. Oh, so the area would be 240.25 inches. Again, you're dealing with area, so it is squared. There you go. Okay, number 11. A triangular glass panel has an area of 48 square feet. If it has a height of 6 feet, then how long is the base? Well, here's our shape. We're dealing with a triangle, and we're also dealing with area. So go to your formula chart. Triangle. Area is equal to 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. In this case, I'm going to use this formula that I wrote in blue. So area is equal to the base times the height divided by 2. Well, now, it gives us some key information. It says the area, so my A is now 48. We're solving for the base, so I don't know what that is. It gives me the height, the H is 6. And then divide that by 2. So we're solving for B, aren't we? Well, look how easy this is. I can start with division. What's 6 divided by 2? Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times whatever my base is, because that's what I'm still solving for. I haven't touched my B. So again, how did I get that 3? 6 divided by 2 gave me the 3. Now this is a one-step equation. If you notice the 3 and the B, they're together, which means they are multiplying. What's the inverse of multiply? Well, divide. So what is 48 divided by 3? Anybody? Top in, bottom out. 3 can go into 4 one time. 3 can go into 18 16 times. I'm sorry, 6 times to make it 16. So your base is 16 feet. Now, if you are unsure about your answer, just plug it in. Plug it into the original formula. My base is now 16, so this is to check work. Area is equal to base times height divided by 2. So your area is equal to, my base is 16, that's what y'all just told me, times 6 divided by 2. 16 times 6, well, let's see, 16, 32, 48. 48 times 2, that's doubling this up, is 96. And what is half of 96? Well, that is 48, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So this is a good answer right there. Woo! All right. The table shows the length and width of different rectangles. Which two rectangles have the same area? Well, guys, I did this review already this weekend, and none of these match up. So we're going to change the wording to find the area of each rectangle. Now on your test, it's going to have two of them that are equal. On this one, we're just going to get some practice here. I'm going to cross this out because we can't do that part. All right, so formula chart. Area, rectangle, base times height. So here's rectangle number 1. Guys, all you do is multiply those two numbers. Literally. Just multiply those two numbers. Multiply those two numbers. Multiply those two numbers. Multiply those two numbers. It'll give you an answer. Give you an answer. I'm not going to go through this one. Y'all can multiply, guys. Okay? I'm going to let you know that. None of the answers are the same, though, for this one. Just multiply all 4. Okay? All right, number 13. A mosaic tile is shown below. Dan wants to cover 600 square inch area. How many mosaic tiles does Dan need? Well, what type of shape do I have here? Well, that shape right there is known as a trapezoid. Here's your formula for the trapezoid. Give you all a second. All right, so here we go. Trapezoid. The area is equal to 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Well, let's start by plugging in some information he gives us. Base 1, right there. There's your base 1. It is 4. Base 2, right down here. Base 2 is 6 inches. We're going to have to multiply that by the height. Here's your height right here. It's 4 inches. All right, so let's go ahead and do the work inside the parentheses first. 4 plus 6. I'm going to come write all this over here. What is 4 plus 6? Well, that is 10. Okay. Now, what is half of 10? Well, half of 10 is 5. And now what's 5 times 4? Well, that's 20. So that's 20 inches squared. That's great. But that's not your final answer. The 20 inches squared is one tile. How much am I covering? I'm covering 600 square inches. Excuse me. So what you do is you take the area of the one tile and you're going to divide it by how much of an area you want to cover. Well, how many times can 20 go into 60? Well, it can go in there 3 times. I still have that extra 0 here at the end, right? Push them up. Oh, there's your final answer. It's going to take 30 tiles to cover this area. Look at that. All right, guys. If you are in regulars, you may now turn off this video. Regulars, this video is done for you. Pre-AP, your second part of your test is now composite figures. So pre-AP, let's go ahead and get started on this one. Composite figures means there's more than one shape and they are combined into making one big shape. Well, if you notice on this first one, I have a rectangle. So here's my rectangle off to the side. There's its dimensions. And then I also have a triangle. It gives me the 8 for the base, and this height is right here. It gives it to me right there. It's 12. Now, back to your formula chart. I need to find the area of both. So your rectangle, again, is base times height. So what is 14 times 12? Well, it's 168. So the area of this rectangle is 168. And now I have to do the triangle. Area for the triangle is base times height divided by 2. Well, my base is 8. My height is 12. 12 times 8 is 96. And what is 96 divided by 2? Well, 96 divided by 2 is 48. Well, now you see how I have the area of the rectangle and the triangle? If I want to figure out the area of this entire shape, add those two areas together. So 168 plus 48. You should get 216 centimeters squared because we're dealing with area. There you go. You're done. Nice and easy, right? All right, next one, number 15. Okay. Well, I'm actually going to create 3 rectangles here to make it easy. There's one rectangle. 1 rectangle, 2 rectangles, 3 rectangles. So here we go. Here's this first rectangle right here. Okay, here are the dimensions. This piece right here is 4. This piece right here is 2. We're going to say, what about this 5, Mr. Noland? Well, this 5 represents this entire length going all the way down. So if I use 2 of it right here, how much is left right here? Well, 5 for the entire thing minus the 2 used means this piece right here will be 3. Ooh. All right. So now let's look at our second rectangle. We have this one right here. So here in green, looks like I have a 3 by 3. And then lastly, we have this triangle right here. Why do I keep saying triangle? I meant rectangle. I'm sorry, guys. This piece right there. So it's my nice long one here. Well, it looks like I have a width of 3 and a length of 9. Oh, so there's your 3 rectangles. And the formula for a rectangle is just base times height. So let's do our math. What is 4 times 2? Well, that's 8. What's 3 times 3? Well, that's 9. What's 9 times 3? Well, that's 27. Well, you found the area of all 3 shapes now, right? Add up those 3 areas, and you found the area of this entire thing. So 27 plus 9 plus 8. 9 plus 8 is 17. 17 plus 7 is 24. And that's 4. Oh, look at that. You get 44. My units are centimeters, and I have to square it. There you go. Let me separate this out for y'all just a little bit here. And last but not least, I love this last one. Find the area of the shaded region. So what we do is we find the area of the shaded minus the non-shaded, and you got your answer. All right. I see 3 shapes here. I have a triangle. I have a big rectangle. So this one's the shaded. And then I have this small little rectangle. And it's unshaded. So to get your final answer, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take the area of the triangle plus the area of the shaded, and then you will subtract it from the area of the unshaded. And that'll give you the answer. All right, so let's see if we can get some dimensions. Well, right here, this piece from here to here, the bottom, the base of my triangle. Well, isn't it the same length as right here, the bottom of my rectangle? So if this bottom is 4 meters, then my base here is also 4 meters. The height of the triangle, right here, the height. Well, it gives it to me right here. Here's your height. It's 1.4. Okay? So the formula for the triangle, base times height divided by 2. We'll do that here in a minute. Now let's look at my big shaded rectangle. Here it is. Looks like I have a width of 2.8. And I have a length here of 4. To find the area of the rectangle, length times width. And now here's your unshaded. It gives you a width right here of 1.8. And you have to multiply that by this piece right here. You're going to say, well, down here it says 4. 4 is this entire length. I don't need that entire length. I just need this small piece right there, which is 2.5. So again, length times width. Let's go ahead and do our math here. I'm going to start with the triangle. 4 times 1.4. Yeah, I'm going to rewrite this. That's 5.6, but then I have to divide it by 2. That's what the formula says, divide it by 2. So that area is 2.8. I'm going to circle that. 2.8. You just found the area of the roof. Okay. Well, now let's do the shaded. 4 times 2.8. 8 times 4 is 32. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Move your decimal back 1. Oh, well, there's your area of the shaded one. It's 11.2. And then finally, your unshaded one here, 2.5. I'm going to come do it right here, times 1.8. I got 4.5. Okay, well, we're almost done. Take the area of the triangle, which is 2.8, plus the area of the shaded, which is your big rectangle. It's 11.2. You will then subtract it from the smaller rectangle, which is the unshaded, which is 4.5. And that'll give you the answer. Well, 11.2 plus 2.8. Well, 11.2 plus 80 cents is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. So now we have 14 minus 4.5. So your answer is going to be 9.5 meters squared. That is how much of this picture is shaded. Alright guys, I can't emphasize enough. Notice how I separated out each shape here on Composite Figures. I found the area of each one. And notice on every single problem that I did today, I wrote down the formula. You will need to use your formula chart for this test. I can't emphasize that enough. Alright guys, I hope this video helps. You have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Alright, bye.